Top 3 transfers for game week 31. Yes, game week 30 has just finished, but the Premier League has given us midweek fixtures, which means it's a quick turnaround time. So please, add this deadline to your calendars. I do not want you forgetting this. I'm going to focus on 2 teams in this video, mainly because they have the best fixtures, which means the biggest potential gains for us. Also, rotation, that dreaded word us managers really do not like, but when games are this close to each other, some players will be rotated, some will have managed minutes, some won't play at all. I'm going to let you know who I think is pretty safe and who's at risk from rotation. If that sounds good to you, please like the video, subscribe and share it. Now you've done that, let's get into it. The first transfer we're going to look at is the king himself, Mohamed Salah. Now, one of the reasons we're looking at him is look at the fixture. Sheffield United at home, midweek, under the lights at Anfield. The stadium's going to be rocking. The Premier League is potentially on. This is a must-win fixture and Klopp will be going for it full power. After that, it's Manchester United away. Yes, Man United and Ten Hag, of course, Klopp some problems, but I will say this. I'm expecting Liverpool to have a bit of vengeance as they got knocked out via the FA Cup. They're going to be angry. And plus, as I said, 3 points is a must if you want to challenge for the league. Last but not least is Crystal Palace at home. So that's 2 home games in the next 3 beautiful fixtures. It'll be very difficult to go into this run without owning Salah. Another big plus, it's the double game week. The double game week in 34 is Fulham away, Everton away. Yes, none of them at home, but guess what? 2 beautiful fixtures for Salah to hopefully bag a couple of goals in. If we look at his last 5 fixtures, he's got a 7, 1, 11, 16 and a 3. So that's 3 returns from the last 5 with a couple of double-digit returns in there. And if you saw the game versus Brighton, that 7 was very lucky for non-owners and very unfortunate for us owners. He could have easily had a hat-trick and a couple of assists and all the bonus. Tells you what he's capable of, but clearly still a little rusty. He's finding his feet. Don't forget, he's been out for a little while, to be honest, so he's going to get up to speed. So that 90 minutes was perfect for him, and I think against Sheffield United, he's going to be the main threat again. 16 goals, 9 assists in 1,905 minutes. Just a machine. 3rd highest scoring midfielder of 175, but also 7.6 points averaging per match, which is number 1 of the midfielders because this considers the amount of minutes he's played. For example, Son and some of the other midfielders have played more minutes than him because he was out for so long with injury. So his minutes to point ratio, beautiful. Issue is potential negative I can think of. He's just come back from a big injury. Will he be rotated this midweek? We're going to talk about rotation a little bit later on, so we'll leave that there. But that's my first transfer. I think he's the top priority if you don't own him. I think it's a no-brainer. There's nothing that can get in the way of this. I mean, if you don't own him, buy him. Let's have a look at the second transfer I'm recommending. And it's Mr. Chaos himself, Darwi Nunes. Now, if you watch the Brighton game, I think you wouldn't touch him. He didn't have a good game. I don't think he contributed. Looks very frustrated. Yes, he made loads of runs and didn't get the ball, but that doesn't mean he should play like that. I don't think he had a good game at all. So let's hope Klopp doesn't hold that against him. So why am I recommending him? Well, it's fixtures, fixtures, fixtures. Like I said with Salah, they matter. And in the next 3 games, Liverpool have 2 home games against Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. Gorgeous fixtures. Liverpool have scored 65 goals, the 2nd best attacking team in the Premier League. Only Arsenal have more goals, so you're going to want a piece of that action. Now, you could go Diaz, who's been excellent lately, but I think it's a bit more difficult as the midfield is so congested. There's a lot of players we don't want to get rid of. But up top, if you've got someone like Watkins, who's potentially injured, only played 45 minutes the other day, it's such an easy move. Hence why Nunes just edges it over Diaz for him. Now, when you add the double game week, like I spoke about with Salah as well, beautiful. We want that. Last 5 game weeks, 2 things with Nunes. He's got a 2, a 5, 5, 5, and a 6, which means that's 4 returns from the last 5. Consistency's there, but as you can see, no double-digit returns, no hauls, which isn't great, okay? 15.5% ownership, which is pretty nice. Not crazy ownership, but guess what? That will go up before this deadline because people will see the fixtures. 10 goals and 10 assists in 1,645 minutes, which is not too bad. Yes, it should be much more. If he wasn't hitting crossbar and missing so many chances, he would have a ridiculous return. It'd be one of the best FPL assets, full stop. But even with that, I still think he's a lovely pick. And if you've already got Salah or you've got 2 free transfers, I think you go in there. Only negative I can think of is the potential rotation with Gakpo. Like I said, I'm going to speak about that a little bit more. I've put Jota in there as well, but I don't think Jota will be an issue for game week 31. But later on for 34, he could be an issue. So hence why I put that in. It's the only potential negative with Nunes. Last but not least, let's have a look at the third transfer I'm recommending. And that's Martin Odegaard. Now, I know if you watched the Manchester City versus Arsenal game, it was a ball fest. You wouldn't buy no players after watching that. But one must remember that was two elite teams who cancelled each other out. Like Liverpool players I'm recommended, Arsenal have the fixtures. Just have a look. Luton at home is up next. That could be a bloodbath. Then after they've got Brighton away. Yes, Brighton are a good team, but they do concede chances. And then you've got Aston Villa at home. With that high line, Martin Odegaard's vision, he'll be threading the through balls. I can see Arsenal scoring 2 or 3 goals in that game as well. Okay. Then also add Arsenal have a double game week 34. So you're bringing the players in for the immediate fixtures, but also you're getting a double game week in 34. They've got Wolves away and Chelsea at home. 2 good fixtures. Arsenal have scored 70 goals. They're the number 1 attacking team in the Premier League. You're going to want to double up because I'm assuming you already have Saka, okay? Martin Odegaard's got 131 points this season, which is the 10th best in the Premier League. It's not incredible, but hopefully that changes with the upcoming fixtures we've just spoken about. Last 5 games, he's got 3, 2, 10, 2, 14, which is 2 returns from the last 5, which isn't that great, but they're 2 double digits. So when he does return, it's normally, a nice little haul for us. 6 goals, 7 assists in 2,300 minutes. We know that's not good enough. Odegaard has to improve on that, but we're hoping because of these fixtures, he gets the opportunity to improve those numbers and we get to see more of those double-digit returns he's been producing recently. The only negative I can think about with Martin Odegaard is that Arsenal have got the Bayern Munich game, which is huge for the club. Then they've got all of these fixtures in the Premier League pretty tight. So there's a congested place. Whether that affects his minutes, only thing I could think of. Apart from that, I like him. You could go Havertz. I was going to put him in the video. I thought it was pretty tight. Havertz is cheaper, can play very attacking at times. But I think the stability, he's the club captain, and the minutes just edge it for me. And in this period of the season, transfers are precious. You can't afford to get them wrong. And I think he's a pretty solid pick up until that double game week 34. That's the top 3 transfers I'm recommending for game week 31. Now let's talk rotation. When there's midweek fixtures and managers see their players playing Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, so basically 3 fixtures in the space of a week, they get worried and they manage their players. But we all know this, some players are more susceptible to being rotated and rested than others. So in this section, I'm just going to let you know who I think is pretty safe and who I think is a little bit more risky. I'm going to start with the safe one. The first and most obvious one is Mohamed Salah. Why do I think he's safe? Salah starts every minute of every game unless he's injured. That's his best attribute, his durability. Yes, I know recently he was injured, but the Egyptian FA gave him the time to recover during international break. Klopp played him every minute against Brighton. So that tells me Klopp's happy with his fitness, but also he wants the minutes in his legs to get rid of that rustiness, which we could see was there. Liverpool had a similar scenario to this already this season, and it was against Sheffield United. They played them midweek, but then had an early kickoff against Crystal Palace Saturday morning. I remember that fixture because I was at that game live. Klopp took off Salah on a 66th minute when they were beating Sheffield United. And I think something like that will happen again. If Liverpool are winning by 2, 3, 4 at Anfield midweek, he will take off those players because they play Thursday, then Sunday. And the Sunday game is not just any game. It's against Manchester United, who have caused them some problems recently and knocked them out of the FA Cup. So there's a big possibility he comes off early. But whether there's a risk for him starting, no chance. I think he starts this game. Saka, very similar to Salah, not just in position, but also the durability. He's young, but Arteta relies on him heavily. He plays every game. And I had a quick look at it this season. He's only missed 1 game, and that's the victory against Manchester City at the Emirates. He also missed the international break after that. So it was a sincere injury. Apart from that, when he's fit, he plays. Similar to Salah as well, if they're winning by 2, 3, 4 goals, he could come off an early rest around the 50, 60th minute. But do I think there's a danger he doesn't start? No chance. He starts against Luton. Martin Odegaard is another player who fits into that category. Mr. Reliable, very durable, plays most minutes. When I had a quick look, I saw he only missed 3 games, and that was due to an injury. I think it was a concussion, head injury, so he missed those games. After that, he's been back. Yes, there'll be games where he might start and come off a little bit earlier, but normally he starts the game. He's the club captain. They rely heavily on him. He's in fact the brains of that team. I think he starts versus Luton. Now I'm going to talk about the players who there is some rotation risk, and I'm going to start with Darwi Nunes. Now, having a look at his numbers, I realised he does play the majority of the games. I think he's only missed 2 games completely this season. But I will say this, when you look at how many 90 minutes he completed this so far this season, only 7. So that tells you Klopp does rotate him, whether he's got little niggles, slight little injuries, but he does feature in games where it's 30 minutes or 60 minutes because Liverpool do have Gakpo and Jota when he was fit. So there's always a slight risk with him. In the midweek fixture Liverpool played against Sheffield United this season, he in fact only came on in the 66th minute. So he started on the bench. He was rotated. So it's something to bear in mind. Me personally, I hope he does start. I mean, I think Liverpool play completely different when he's the number 9, but I have to put that out there that I think he's a potential risk this midweek fixture. Luis Diaz is an interesting one. When you look at his minutes, he seems pretty safe, pretty locked in. Klopp really trusts him. He gives the team perfect balance on that left-hand side. He's played 1,900 minutes, say, compared to Nunes, who's on 1,600 minutes. He's only missed one game completely, so he's very reliable. But I will say this, he's so important to the team. I think Liverpool can beat Sheffield United without him. And then you've got the Thursday, Sunday turnaround for United, which is the big game, very important. I think Liverpool are going to need a 90 minutes, huge performance from him. This is an opportunity to let him rest. So that's my take. That's the reason he's in this section where I think he's a potential risk. Havertz, again, like Diaz, is touch and go. They could easily start. But the reason I had to put him in this list, Arsenal have such a strong squad. A lot of the players are fully fit. If you saw the bench against the Manchester City, it tells you Arteta's got players to pick from. Havertz has become so important. Since he's come into the team, he's played practically every game. And when I looked at his minutes, he's close to 1,900 minutes. So again, like Diaz, clearly Arteta relies on him. And I think when you look at Arsenal's congested fixture, especially with that huge game against Bayern Munich, this is a perfect opportunity to rest Havertz, who has become integral to this team. The way they play, the way they attack, the way they defend. I think they can beat Luton without him, and then he comes back in on the weekend. That's the reason I put him in as a potential risk. Please remember, this is just me predicting. I've looked at the data, looked at what these managers have done in previous scenarios like this, and I've tried to guess to see who's going to start, who doesn't start. That's all I've done, okay? Not saying to you this is 100% accurate. You can't be. No one knows. Unless you're the manager, no one knows. But I tried to look at this to help us with our transfers, because there's nothing worse than bringing in a player and you see they've been rotated and they're on the bench. I hope you enjoyed that video, but more importantly, I hope you found the video useful. Get in the comments and let me know, do you agree with the transfers I'm suggesting? How many of them do you already own? I'd love to know what you're up to, and I'll reply to all my comments. Now, before you jump off to your next video, do me a favor, drop a like, subscribe, and share the video. I'm trying to reach my next milestone, which is 500 subscribers, and I can only do that with your help. So it'd be much appreciated if you could just press that subscribe button, press that bell button, then you know when my videos are out. On that note, I'm going to wish you good luck and see you on my next video.